Hello there, my very good friends. On today's wrestling news, Donald Trump is going to be on The Undertaker's podcast.
An update on WWE's plans for The Rock.
We've got a major change coming to a WWE stable.
And Bret Hart's been talking about chinning Vince McMahon again.
Skadoosh.
I'm Adam Wilborn.
I'm Andy Murray.
And this is the news.
What a world we live in.
Yeah.
What a world we live in. Where the presidential candidate for the Republican Party, Donald Trump, is going to appear on a pro wrestling podcast.
How am I to compete with that? That's not fair.
I know, you might as well take that week off, brother.
It's a good job I'm going on holiday.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, you probably want to swerve this. This is Politico reporting that they've been told that Trump, and here's the quote, is expected to do an interview this week on the Undertaker podcast. What's it called? Dead Man Talking.
Yeah, I think so.
Something like that. So yeah, there you go. Obviously, he's a WWE Hall of Famer, and is Dead Man. He's a wrestler.
Yeah.
It's wild how unblurred the lines between wrestling and politics really are these days. Because even over here, it's really silly. But it feels like a weird carnival where anything goes these days.
Yeah.
Obviously, Trump had Hulk Hogan.
Yes, he did, yeah.
Previously.
Ripping his shirt off at the Republican National Conference.
You absolutely know that the Undertaker's going to open this with a joke about beating Kamala at SummerSlam 1992 as well. My question for you, Adam, is: does Donald Trump respect the business?
I think he does respect the business, you know. It's fascinating, this, isn't it? What a weird... Who's booking people for the Undertaker podcast? They're like, right, we'll get Godfather, then probably Kane. I think Midian was on there a while back.
Yeah.
And then presidential nominee Donald Trump. What?
I suppose, right, it's a big podcast.
Yeah.
It's actually the only thing capable of knocking this bad boy off the top chart in the UK. Nobody else has been able to do it. The Dead Man can do it. So I guess they're just trying to appeal to a wider audience. But it's so funny. It's just funny to me, the idea of a politician going, hey, you know what, I'll boost my campaign, a wrestling podcast. You imagine Keir Starmer here in the UK going on Talk Is Jericho.
We are going to get Lord Binface on the WhatCulture podcast, so we can all get big guests.
What about what was that old guy, the old geezer from back in Lord Such or something like that?
Yeah, it was Monster Raving Loony Party we have here, don't we?
That's it. It's really a fascinating world.
Elmo also stands wherever the potential Prime Minister's standing, doesn't he?
Yeah.
It's weird in politics over here as well, but not as weird as in the States.
Yeah. What would be your dream wrestler political podcast ever? I would say Bobby Fish and Nicola Sturgeon, because they're both they live in water and they are fish. So they could go angling. Or what's your favourite type of worm to eat? They could do that.
It's just the maddest thing ever, isn't it?
Yeah, it's really bizarre. When's the election? 6 weeks?
It's not that late. It's beginning of November. Do you know the reason why I know when the election is? It's not because I'm really up on my American politics. It's because NXT's moving nights.
Yeah.
Because they got another head-to-head. So I think it's November 5th with NXT moving to November 6th, which is the most important thing. It's soon.
3 weeks away.
So this is clearly the big swing on the go home for the election.
Yeah. He's going to ask Donald Trump if he wants to play a game. What is it? You guys do play a game of bones.
Yes.
Play a game of bones.
It's going to be fascinating to hear them talk about the WrestleMania thing with Bobby Lashley and Vince and Stone Cold and all that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well,
so
keep your ears peeled for that one.
And I will say, right, looking at this online, a lot of people are kind of surprised and taken aback by, people's political alignments and all this stuff going on. Not The Undertaker, but to me, right, the difference is, we'll make a serious point after taking the piss out of this for 5 minutes. The thing is, right, with people like The Undertaker and, I don't know, who's another wrestler that's politically out there, who has their opinions out there? Kane, I guess, right? Or on the opposite end of the political scale, someone like Mustafa Ali.
Yes, fair.
The only difference really between The Undertaker and Kane or whoever and half of your favorite wrestlers is that The Undertaker will talk about it, right?
Yeah.
People are hugely politically divided, and if someone's politics not aligning with you is a reason that you don't want to follow them or support them, I think that's fair enough. You draw your own lines. Absolutely. Me and the Undertaker, I think if we had a conversation, we would agree on precisely 0 things. But I'm not probably the target audience for his podcast either. So,
I have my sources obviously within WWE, and just got word back from there actually. Bernie Sanders is going to be working Mania this year.
Oh, brother. He's going to run in, and who's the bit? Help
actually, I meant next year, obviously, but he's going to set it up by being involved in the Bloodline storyline at War Games. So
I know what he can do. He can wrestle the Necro Butcher.
Yes.
Whose gimmick now, by the way, is the MAGA Butcher. So.
Okay. Politics! Speaking of presidential nominees, The Rock. Let's talk all about him. Load of speculation recently. I think Dave reported he's not planned to work WrestleMania 41.
That's because he's working the election, brother.
As things stand. But WrestleVotes Radio came through with an intriguing development on this, saying that The Rock's plans with WWE have, quote, stayed the course since WrestleMania 40. That would lead one to assume that he is probably going to be involved at WrestleMania 41 because of how heavily involved he was in WrestleMania 40, and he's The Rock. Why wouldn't you want to use him? I mean, for me, he can dethrone Cody Rhodes, to be honest.
Yeah, he tweeted shortly after the initial report about him not working Mania came out. So I'm like, that's BS, brother.
Yeah, don't believe the BS.
Yeah, don't believe it. Something like that. So yeah, the Dwayne is going to Dwayne. You know what? What's going to happen in wrestling with his plans is that he is going to decide what he wants to do, and everyone else is going to fall in line.
Like, and I'm going to love it.
Yeah,
basically,
it's the final. I have a Final Boss T-shirt. I'm too fat to wear it at the moment, but I do have it.
He's just incredible. Yeah. Like, I'm so excited to get back those Friday night Instagram promos.
Yeah,
that used to drop.
Like 10 minutes of him just swearing.
Well, don't need to watch SmackDown anymore, fair enough.
That one he did after the pay-per-view the other week where he basically said nothing, but it was still like, I was glued, man. He was like, that's the American dream, love you, hate your son.
I was about to say cutting promos on the backs of vans.
Yeah, and then so, like, he goes, play some music, some ZZ Top, some music comes on, and it's so loud you can't hear a word this guy's saying.
Sorry, Dwayne, I've lost you.
He speaks for like another 3 minutes, and he's like,
he's the best.
He's the GOAT.
He's the best. And
he's a buffoon, I love him.
So my theory is, I think I've told you this before, my theory is that the thing he handed Cody Rhodes on the Raw after WrestleMania, everyone's speculating about it, was a Rumble ball because he's going to politic his way into number 30 in the Royal Rumble. Hamflett adds an interesting added wrinkle onto this. He thinks he turns up at number 31 in the Royal Rumble.
Because he's got executive
He's got that power, baby.
Remember he said to the referee, yeah, I'll fire your ass.
Oh.
A bit more sweary than that, wasn't it? Yeah, but...
You start crying. Are you kidding me?
He can do what he wants, the Dwayner.
He's the best.
Hey, listen, maybe we should have talked about Dave Bautista's promo on Trump for a bit of balance.
I watched that last night.
That was something else.
I love Dave Bautista. What a legend.
What a world we live in.
Yeah.
Man. What a world we live in. Right. A major change could be coming to a WWE stable. Now, when you think of the Judgment Day, who do you think is the biggest potential single star in that group?
I mean, personally, I'd say Dominic Mysterio. I love Dominic Mysterio.
Dominic Mysterio, number 2.
Finn Balor, obviously.
Number 3.
Then probably Liv Morgan actually next.
Okay, Carlito is.
Okay, yeah. I hadn't read this story. I was avoiding talking about him, but he would be bottom of that list.
Yes.
He is absolutely cruising it. What am I going to do this week? Turn up, eat an apple, and be a bit sexy. Okay, fair enough.
Tell a joke. Yeah. So according to WrestleVotes, there are discussions about removing Carlito from the Judgment Day and putting him back in a singles role. Why? Why?
He's living his best life, isn't he?
Yeah, like, if you're going to use Carlito in 2024, this is the best role for him.
Yeah.
He's good at being like the 5th most important or 6th most important person in that stable, hanging out in the background, eating an apple, smiling, reacting to things, being a little goof. I don't want a Carlito singles run.
Yeah, why now kick him out? They're just this gaggle of bastards now.
Yeah, they're a bunch of idiots.
It's not going to be like, oh, guys, watch out. They've kicked Carlito out of the group. They're getting real serious now. There's that little weasel JD McDonough, the best heel in wrestling, arguably, in Dominic Mysterio. Liv Morgan, obviously, is doing that great stuff with Dom, and Finn Balor's going, and he's having a great time with it. But yeah, I don't think Carlito's going to suddenly burst back onto the scene with this singles run, a la Shelton Benjamin on AEW Dynamite, to be perfectly honest.
Yeah, man. I mean, if he did, I'd be very impressed.
That Shelton match was incredible, by the way.
It was. I think a lot of people are writing apology notes.
Yeah, shout out to him, friend of the channel, lovely man.
Legend.
Watches ups and downs. I hope he got his just desserts with Miller on the Dynamite ups and downs yesterday.
Big rivalry between those two guys.
Yeah,
watch out.
Book it, Tony.
Yes, why not? Yeah, I don't know. All due respect to Carlito, I don't really want a singles run in 2024. I'm good.
Yeah, I think he's fine in the role. I think he's happy in the role he's right now.
He's good in this role. It's perfect.
Yeah.
Perfect for him.
Now, Andy, I think you're a very learned gentleman when it comes to wrestling. So
that's my learning symbol.
I don't want to put you on the spot here, but have you ever heard of a little event? We don't really talk about it that much. It was kind of swept under the carpet, called the Montreal Screwjob.
What's that, Adam?
We have never covered it on this channel. But if you're unaware, they screwed Bret out of the title, and then he gozzed on Vince on camera, and then he said, WCW.
Him for the Hawk Tour.
Yes.
There you go.
Get Bret on the Hawk Tour podcast.
I hear like
oh, come on.
I hear like they're get the Undertaker's next guest on there, brother.
But yeah, Bret's been talking about chinning Vince McMahon, as happened, as was widely reported, as was mentioned in the Vince McMahon documentary, of course. He was chatting with casual conversations with the Classic, and he said this: "I'll tell you the truth, it was one punch, and it was a good punch. He was out cold for about 5 minutes. We all just stood around looking at him. I remember I broke my hand, but it was the sweetest thing I ever did. I seem to remember a while back he said something else on this, and he said it was the best punch I've ever thrown." Yeah, he mentioned it in the documentary, just lifting Vince McMahon off his feet.
Cleaning him.
It wasn't like a cheap shot, it was like they got into it, and he understandably was pissed off with what happened in Montreal. But I do love the fact that people are still asking Bret Hart about this all these years later.
Double-headed problem this for me, because on one end I hate talking about the Montreal Screwjob.
Yeah.
I'm just bored of it. And on the other side, I love Bret Hart being a hater.
Yeah.
Especially when the target of that animosity is Vincent Kennedy McMahon.
I like the idea. I haven't listened to the whole thing. I like the idea that he just brought it up.
Yeah.
Like they were like, Bret, what do you think about Cody Rhodes? Let me tell you about the time I chinned Vince McMahon.
And the next sentence was probably about Goldberg.
Yes.
So
hey, I'll tell you what, it was nice to see him clearly enjoying it when Gunther was like, by the way, my favourite wrestler is Goldberg.
There you go. Just playing into it, man. It's good stuff. Bret rules. I love how honest and open, and he's never shy of just dumping on people.
Nah.
So it's fun. It's fun.
Yeah.
I wouldn't want to be one of his enemies.
No.
Put it that way. Because he is addressing them frequently.
And he is a legend, isn't he? Like that word's thrown around far too much. But
he's the god. He's a god. Bret Hart.
I still remember working here when the Tom McGee tapes came out, and I got another level of respect for him when I saw that.
We did
incredible.
We did a reaction video.
Yeah.
Was it me and you and Amplet or something?
Maybe.
Like that? I can't remember. But yeah. Bret Hart's top. If he's not in your top 10, I'm going to assume you're a bit younger, maybe.
I was really late to the party because I didn't watch WCW when he was in that. When I grew up, he was already in WCW.
Yeah.
And obviously, then that was that.
You go back and you learn.
So my knowledge was the match with Vince at WrestleMania. Well, he's rubbish.
Yeah. What are you talking about? He sucks. If he's not one of your top, not favorites, best in the top 10, 5, whatever, you're maybe too young. You haven't seen him before, or. Me and you view wrestling completely differently.
Yeah, I think you ask any wrestler nowadays, and no doubt his name's going to come up in terms of major influences on them.
Yeah,
absolutely. I know, like you say, newer wrestlers. Javon Evans is sat there watching Lord Tensai growing up and what have you. But legacy-wise, it sort of goes back to Bret, and then obviously back to Turbo Floyd and Truth Magnus.
I was going to say, if you're making a list of American goats, it's or North American goats, obviously. Bret, Ric Flair, Terry Funk, Stan Hansen, Tugboat for me. That's the top 5. There you go.
There you go. Let us know your top 5 in the comments.
I love the Tugger,
Me
man.
too.
He's Shockmaster, the Typhoon. Natural Disasters, man.
Natural Disasters.
All-timer tag team. Just big beasts.
Right, let us know your thoughts on everything we've covered. It's been a wide-ranging news today in the comment section. But we'll be back later on today with an after news. But for now, Whatcha?
Ching!
Check this out.
You need to get new noises for
Yeah.
like shiny things.